Welcome back to The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Previously, I entered the Shadow Temple, did quite a few things, and this time we'll be moving on. Last time I said you want to play Zelda's Lullaby here, so I might as well do that and just get this video started off. There's not much of this temple left, so you're not going to be having a very long episode this time. But the rest of this temple's kinda basic, if I'm being honest. This is probably the most interesting thing that's going to happen throughout the rest of it. And that is, once you play Zelda's Lullaby, the boat will begin to move. On a much less interesting note, we do have to do something on this boat. And that is, drum roll, fight a Stalfos. It's really not that interesting. In fact, I'm going to put away my big Goron sword first and foremost. I did not even mean to pull it out. So I can just block this guy and not actually take any damage. I'm not going to be fighting this Stalfos or the other one that just spawned, because I frankly don't need to. I really don't. This boat is kind of an interesting case, and what I mean by that is something we'll see in just a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it just yet because I don't want to spoil anything. But this ship is interesting in the sense that I don't have to fight these guys. They're here, but I don't have to fight them, because if I stop targeting them, jump over here, and just kind of watch this boat get to the end of that passage, Navi will actually say something. Link, the ship is sinking. Abandon ship. Get onto a safe platform. And then the Stalfos just drop. Yeah, it's nothing too interesting, the Stalfos that is, but the ship I actually do think is a very nice touch, and it does add to the kind of creepy atmosphere that this dungeon has. But before we move on and do anything else, I want to shoot one of those bombs that will knock this down, consequently allowing us to get to the other side of this gorge, I think is what it would be called. I'm not exactly sure, but whatever. There we go. You can stop cutscene. There seem to be a lot of the cutscenes that just kind of lock me into place in this area. I don't know why. But over here, I'm not going to cross the gorge just yet, because over here there's a door I can enter. And this room is essentially a maze with a bunch of invisible walls, as you can see by using the Lens of Truth. There's also a bunch of wall masters or floor masters, whatever. They're two sides of the same coin, to be honest. And over here, I actually did talk about the fact that there might be invisible enemies. This is one of those cases. This is an invisible wall master. And while I'm actually using the Lens of Truth, this might as well be mentioned. If you are trying to do a souped up spin attack, that's a really powerful spin attack, with the Lens of Truth on, it will not work. The reason for that being your magic is being used for the Lens of Truth and not for the spin attack. You cannot use your magic for multiple things at the same time. Also, this area looks a lot like the bottom of the well, just a little bit bloodier. Just a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. Luckily, there aren't any floors that I can really fall through, other than there was one in the beginning, and it didn't even make me have to retread anything. It was just a way to get back to the area that I'm currently in very easily. So that's interesting to note, I guess. There are 4 doors in this room, one for each corner. One takes me back to the gorge I was in. The others take me to different areas, some of which have interesting things in them. Is there a gold skull here? Yes! I remember there being one, because this is actually a repeat recording. I had a failed recording, and not because, you know, Elgato decided to mess up the audio or mess up the visuals. Just decided to not record, despite the fact that it said it was recording. Yeah, I really don't know. It said it rendered, it said it was, you know, saved as a video, except it wasn't. It just never got recorded for whatever reason, so I'm a little bit confused about that, but hopefully this will work out a little bit better. This room's pretty simple. All you have to do is throw the bombs, not in front of the skulls, into the skulls. We were in a room like this beforehand. I have terrible aim. It's kind of like real life when I'm playing basketball. I brick every single shot. Making fun of myself. It's quite fun. But yeah, this isn't too terribly difficult. I might stop using the bomb flowers specifically because I don't want to have to time this very well. I kind of just want to throw bombs willy-nilly and hopefully make it in. But yeah, this room's not too hard. If you have terrible aim, like me, you will miss a decent amount, but you have infinite amounts of bombs. You don't have to worry that much. I don't believe there's anything super important in this room, so it is skippable if you hate having to deal with throwing the bombs into the skulls. But I think it's worth it. I take it back. I forgot all you got from this is just money. And guess what I already have enough of? Money. But I guess if you're needing money, that's fine. There's a gold skulltula in here, so just come and get the gold skulltula. If you have the amount of rupees that I have right now, you can kind of ignore throwing the bombs in. But I kind of wanted to show off what it did, and I forgot, so it was just kind of refreshing my memory. This room is actually really, really, really cool. Right here, you'll notice that there are... I think I said that weird, but that's not important. On a more important note, we are about to get squished by a bunch of spikes. But they're wooden. So if we use Din's Fire, which we've actually had to use twice up till this point in this dungeon. Once, obviously, here to burn those walls down. And I didn't get that re-dead like I usually do. That's a little bit odd. And once to actually get into the dungeon itself. So that's pretty interesting. You don't actually get a lot of use out of Furor's... Not Furor's Wind. I was thinking about the other magical item I have, Din's Fire. You really don't get a lot of use out of it. But I'm glad I picked it up. I wonder if you can beat this game without it. I assume you can, because obviously the... Oh, God, what's it called? Fire arrows. I don't know why that specifically was giving me troubles. But yeah, if you have the fire arrows, I'm sure you can just get rid of the wooden walls with the fire arrows. That was... Why was that so difficult for me to say? But anyway, we finally got the boss key. So now we can actually get to the boss room. So let's do that. I think we might actually... I think we have 40... yeah, we do. We have 40 gold skulltulas. I forgot to actually check. At the end of the last episode, I think I had 39. So now I have 40. That's actually really good. I can get the next upgrade. So that's pretty nice. Or item, whatever. And hopefully I can get to 50 after that point. I might have to do kind of a gold skulltula grinding episode and show off where all these other gold skulltulas are just to get there, because I don't know if in the general vicinity of where I'm going next there are a bunch of gold skulltulas. I'm not really super sure. I know where I'm going next. I just don't know if there are 10 gold skulltulas for me to get. So we'll see, we'll see. Interruptions as usual. Wouldn't be a Let's Play without some of those. Anyway, now we can actually go over to the other side of this gorge. I keep saying gorge. I don't know if that's the right terminology. Maybe not. Maybe so. I don't know. Over here, I believe that I could get these heart containers. Not heart containers. That would be really, really worth it. But no, just pieces of heart, which is still worth it. No, what's the word? Heart pickups. I don't know exactly what. Just hearts? Hearts? Probably just hearts. If I had the Scarecrow song, that's the song I was looking for. Wow, this is turning out a lot worse than I thought it would. My commentary is up, down, and all around today, I guess. So what I'm going to want to do here is use the Lens of Truth, obviously, and I might as well use the hover boots, because I haven't been using those very much, because this dungeon, again, doesn't require them very much. If you do use the hover boots, it gets a little bit tricky. It makes it so that you can easily get over to the platforms, but it also makes it so that, oh, fun fact, you're on small platforms with slippery controls. It's not super fun to deal with, but I should be able to do this. I'm going to use Furor's Wind here. Essentially, if I use it, it uses up a decent amount of magic, I think, but it lets me come back to this area whenever I want. So, just in case I have a problem with the boss, if I die, I can use Furor's Wind as soon as I respawn, and it'll take me all the way back to the boss. That's not necessarily great, because I'm going to respawn with 3 hearts to begin with, but it is worth mentioning, and it's worth doing, just in case I do mess it up and I do have to show it off. Also, the reason I did it right in front of the boss door instead of inside of the boss room is because you cannot use Furor's Wind in a boss room. I figured that out in my failed recording, and I felt kind of stupid about that, but I've used Furor's Wind at least once. I feel good about myself now. There we go. But without further ado, the only thing that's left for me to do in this dungeon is, well, besides some gold skulltulas I probably missed. But anyway, on a more important note, there's a hole. The only way to go is down. Phantom Shadow Beast. Bongo Bongo. Yeah, that's probably the least scary enemy name I've heard all day, but Bongo Bongo it is. This guy can actually be a little bit troublesome, specifically because he goes and tries to punch you, all that stuff, and you're also on a very interesting battlefield. Bongo Bongo will fight you on his drum. If he slams down with his feet, he will easily be able to bounce you up in the air. I would recommend taking off your hover boots for this fight, which is actually kind of interesting in its own way because, fun fact, you don't have to use the item that you actually get within the dungeon itself to beat this boss. You just have to use the item that you got in the bottom of the well, so that's kind of different from all the other bosses we've faced. But, you have to use the Lens of Truth, to see... I shot the... But what? That... But I shot with the... I should have... Whatever. The point is, what you want to do is shoot his hands. He will open up his eye, shoot his eye with a bow and arrow. That's why these hands are dropping arrows whenever you hit them. And, it should be pretty simple from that point onward. Fun fact. Again, don't use the hover boots. The reason I say that is because when you bounce up with Bongo Bongo on his drums, with the hover boots on, you will stick in the air for a little bit longer than I personally like, and it also makes you slipperier, so more slippery? It essentially just makes it harder to dodge Bongo Bongo's hands, so he sweeps them back and forth. So I would not recommend using the hover boots. I can see why they'd be useful, because you can pull out your bow and arrow, have a more accurate shot. I understand that, but personally, I think it's completely unnecessary. I think it's kind of a waste of time to use the hover boots, but that's just my opinion. I'm sure the hover boots have some practicality in this boss fight, but there's none from what I can tell. Or none that's really worth it from what I can tell. This should give us 15 pieces of heart, which is actually really, really, really good. There we go. And with that, we've completed the Shadow Temple. Bongo Bongo's a really interesting fight. There are a few things I didn't get to mention. First of all, he takes a lot more hits with the Master Sword, obviously, so using the Bigoron Sword made that fight go by a lot faster, but there's no second phase. He doesn't get any harder. He's pretty simple throughout the entire fight, and he can knock you off here. You will not instantly die, or, I don't know. You know when you fall into lava in this game, and sometimes you instantly die and you go back to the boss room, something like that? That won't happen. This will just make you take damage. Other than that, it's pretty basic. I really, really like the concept of Bongo Bongo. He's a really fun boss to fight, and first playthrough, I really had a lot of problems with him. So if you have problems with him, I can see why. He's not super easy. I still took a lot of damage this playthrough, but he's not terrible. Without further ado, let's go to the Chamber of the Sages, I think is what it's called. It's been a while, right? Give me some slack, please. The boy with the noble Zelda's ocarina. As I expected, you have come. I am Impa, one of the Sheikah. I am Princess Zelda's caretaker, and I am also the sage who guards the Shadow Temple. We Sheikah have served the royalty of Hyrule for generation to generation as attendants. However, on that day 7 years ago, Ganondorf suddenly attacked, and Hyrule Castle surrendered after a short time. Ganondorf's target was one of the keys to the Sacred Realm, the hidden treasure of the royal family, the Ocarina of Time. My duty bound me to take Zelda out of Ganondorf's reach. When last I saw you, as we made our escape from the castle, you were just a lad. Now, I see that you have become a fine hero. There's nothing to worry about. The princess is safe now. Soon, you will meet Princess Zelda face to face, as she will explain everything. That is when we, the 6 Wise Ones, will seal up the evil king and return peace to Hyrule. I have to stay here. You go to Princess Zelda's side and protect her on my behalf. Now, I put my power, which should be helpful to you, into this medallion. You received the Shadow Medallion. Impa awakens as a sage and adds her power to yours. And with that, there's only one more temple that we need to complete before The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is complete. But before that, let's exit and go to Kakariko Village and see what I get from those 40 gold skulltulas that I've got, because this episode hasn't been going on for too long, actually. It's kind of short. Didn't expect that, really. I knew there wasn't much of the temple left, but I was sure I was going to forget so much that it wouldn't even matter. But, Gold Skulltula House, where are you again? Oh, yeah, right over here. I don't remember what this is, so this will be a little bit interesting for me. Fingers crossed it is something good, not like another Rumble Pack, which really isn't that helpful. I've already talked to you. I've talked to you, right? I believe I've talked... No, I haven't talked to you, I don't think. Please say... No, I have. So is it you? I like how I accidentally pulled out my sword. No, it's not you. I assume, then, it's you right here. The curse has been broken. Thank you. Thank you. Here's a reward for you. And we got... bomb shoes. Which I could already purchase and find. Are you kidding me? For getting 40 of these things, I get a bomb shoe. Next time on The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, we'll try to get to the next temple and work on getting 50 gold Skulltula tokens so that I can get something that's not completely boring and kind of a waste of time. Until then...